Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. We're entering week 17 with Thursday football, but since it's Christmas, we have a special lineup of 3 different games, so I'll go through them one by one. But just before I do, I just want to note that I've updated some of the panels, mainly with defensive information. I want to add some more defensive information to it, so it's not fully complete, but it's almost like the rest of your player panels. So I will show a handful of them at the very end after the outro. So if you'd like to see some of the defensive information at this point, go ahead and stick around till after the outro, and I'll throw up some defensive panels. For your last Christmas game, you have Denver going to Kansas City, where Denver's heavily favored on the money line, with a spread of 13.5 and a total line of 36.5. Here are their seasonal averages for the team, and walking through their rankings, you have a pretty average offense from Denver, with a scoring rank of 13, a passing rank of 11, and a rushing rank of 18. And defensively, a little bit more mixed, but towards the better side, with an allowed scoring rank of 5, allowed passing rank of 16, and allowed rushing rank of 2. For Kansas City, you have a bit of a mixed offense with a scoring rank of 20, a passing rank of 7, and a rushing rank of 22, as well as a tight end rank of 5. And defensively, they are looking pretty good with an allowed scoring rank of 4, allowed passing rank of 9, and allowed rushing rank of 9. For your quarterbacks in this game, you have Bo Nix and Chris Olodkin. Bo Nix averages about 18.3 fantasy points per game, and Olodkin came in for Minshew last game and only got 5.1 fantasy points in that game. And these are his stats for that game, so the averages won't make sense. But instead, we'll just move over Bo Nix's averages. And looking at the turnovers, you have none from Olodkin in that one game. And you have Bo Nix with 10 interceptions this season and 1 fumble lost due to a sack, as well as 1 additional rushing fumble. For your share, you have Bo Nix with 18.3% of the rushing carry share and 16.4% of the rushing yard share, which is a decent impact to the rushing game. And of course, then with Olodkin, we have no idea how much he rushes or how good he is at it. You can see that Patrick Mahomes has his numbers up here, but without him, it's hard to tell what Olodkin will really do. For your running backs, you have RJ Harvey and Isaiah Pacheco, with Harvey averaging 12.2 fantasy points per game and Pacheco at 7 per game. Switching over to their seasonal averages and looking at the turnovers, RJ Harvey has 1 rushing fumble this season, and Pacheco has no turnovers. So looking at their rushing share, you have RJ Harvey with 32.5% of the rushing carry share and 29.1% of the rushing yard share, with the next largest portion being J.K. Dobbins, but he is out right now, so slowly RJ Harvey is growing his share. The next largest portion, other than the hurt J.K. Dobbins, is Bo Nix here. And then with Pacheco, you're at 30.6% of the rushing carry share and 28.5% of the rushing yard share, with the largest portion going to Kareem Hunt here at 42.4% and 32.1%. And he was filling in for Pacheco while Pacheco was hurt for a little bit, and that's why his numbers are a little smaller. And it's also interesting to note that Patrick Mahomes actually had a massive impact on the rushing game here, with about 18% of the rushing carry share and 28% of the rushing yard share. So without him, that might dramatically affect the rushing game here for Kansas City. For your receivers, you have Courtland Sutton and Xavier Worthy, with Sutton averaging 14 fantasy points per game and Worthy averaging 8.5. Here are their seasonal averages, and with no turnovers, I'm going to go right to the charts. So if you need any of this data, go ahead and give the video a pause. But otherwise, looking at their share, you have Sutton at 23.1% of the target share and 28.2% of the receiving yard share, making him the most productive receiver in Denver. And with Worthy, you're at 14.2% of the target share and 14.3% of the receiving yard share, which puts him about 3rd or 4th most productive receiver in Kansas City. For your number 2 receivers, you have Troy Franklin, and you should have Hollywood Brown. However, I cannot bring up his data for some reason, so I'll have to go look into that. So I brought up Juju Smith-Schuster instead. So Troy Franklin gets about 11.5 fantasy points per game, and Juju's at about 4.4. Here are their seasonal averages. And the only turnover between the 2 receivers comes from Franklin with 1 receiving fumble. For their share, you have Troy Franklin at 20.4% of the target share and 20.1% of the receiving yard share, making him the 2nd most productive receiver in Denver. And for Juju, you have him at 8.1% of the target share and 8.5% of the receiving yard share. And then for your tight ends, you have Evan Ingram and Travis Kelce, with Ingram averaging 6.4 fantasy points per game and Kelce at about 12. Here's your seasonal averages. And again, with no turnovers, I'll go right to the charts, where you have Evan Ingram with 14% of the target share and 11.5% of the receiving yard share, and Kelce with 19.5% of the target share and 21.6% of the receiving yard share, which makes him the most productive receiver in Kansas City. So that wraps up all your data for your last Christmas game. Just comparing the rankings, you have Denver with an offense that would not beat any of these rankings on the defense for Kansas City. And then additionally, you have a better passing rank here for Kansas City against an allowed passing rank of 16 for Denver. The one thing Denver has on them is an allowed rushing rank of 2 versus a rushing rank of 22, so Denver should be able to shut down the rushing game pretty well. And you have a pretty bad scoring rank of 20 against an allowed scoring rank of 5, so Denver's a very stingy defense at allowing their opponents from scoring. The one make or break thing here is that you have your third string quarterback playing, so this passing rank will most likely go down, which could affect the rest of the team as well. So that's why you have Denver favored on the money line. And also with that reason, I would favor Denver in this game. But it is interesting to note here that none of the numbers here, none of the rankings, would actually support that. All the numbers instead kind of point that Kansas City should win this game. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and got something out of it. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe. And leave a comment on what other data you want to see in the future. But other than that, that wraps it up for the Christmas football games. So I want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So I'll see you next for the Saturday games.